Herzlich willkommen bei Queer Talk live mit Carlton Morgan
and Danny Banani.
Who is it?
It is queer activist, fellow YouTuber, and diaspora. What did you say? I forgot what you said.
No, it's an activist of Black diaspora in Germany. Okay,
that was
or anywhere in the world actually. 80 Junior.
Yes.
Bitte. Hey, AD.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
So, AD, you have been living in Hamburg for quite a while.
Yes.
And when I called you to invite you to this show, you told me that you're going back to Brazil.
Yeah.
What made you take that decision?
It's because first of all, good evening, everyone. Well, it's because I believe now it's time to go, because I don't know if you guys have seen what's happening in Brazilian politics lately. And since the first day, since the day Mr. President was elected, gay bashing has started in the country. And I've been in Europe for 10 years now. Amazing, beautiful. But I think it's time to go back because people are really suffering, and I believe I could help. I know it's dangerous. 2 years ago, they started to go on my page, and because I started to talk against Bolsonaro, and 2 years ago I started to receive death threats, and then it started like this. But it's time to go back, and there's no way for me to be here in Europe just cheering and my friends being, harassed in the streets. So I think it's time to go back. Unfortunately, the consequences we have to deal with it, but I don't want to be a martyr or a hero, but it's time to go back. It's time to help.
Right. Well, so you were also telling me about a lot of things that happened that I wasn't able to see or to find even on the internet. And you work in the media yourself, so what do you think do you think it's a problem, like the thing that, I'm not able to find these informations here, or is it my fault, or is it just how it works in the media, or how everything works?
Related to everything, you mean about the Brazilian, against the gay people?
Like, we know that the election happened, but when you tell me, for instance, that someone died, a specific person died, like a hate crime happened, and I look it up and I can't find it.
Yeah. Brazil is a very nice country to deceive people. The country I come from, is this after Nigeria the biggest country with the black population in the world, 112 million. But nobody knows that. It's the country that mostly kills homosexuals in the world and transsexuals, and nobody knows that. Everybody thinks about Brazil because of Carnival, because the middle class and upper middle class Brazilians are coming here to do their exchange, and they live there in a society where they do still exploit people as slaves, but they pretend to all of you guys that the country is amazing and Carnival is beautiful. And because of you guys accepting what they're saying and not asking further, that's why Brazil is the way it is. Not because of you guys. I'm saying the news don't come here because we believe what they say. So they come here, the upper middle class Brazilians, they say, oh, Rio is beautiful, you have to come to Rio. Oh, it's amazing, Carnival is amazing. But they don't use the same elevator, the lift, as black people in Brazil, because they say, people who clean my apartment, they cannot use the same elevator.
That's insane.
That's the country. That's that country. And when that president Bolsonaro started, his name, when he said in 2014, it started in 2011 when he said to a deputy that he wouldn't hate her because she was a woman and ugly, that everybody should start saying that that was wrong, but everybody here in Europe and in the United States, they say, oh no, it's okay, you know, it's good. And I'll have to say that, do you know, I'm so ashamed that the Europeans don't know that, and you people didn't, everybody's very shocked about what's happening in Brazil now, but we've been telling you people, and one of the things that I'm very upset about, I don't know if you guys know that Brazil received a lot of Jewish people during the Second World War, and after that too. But if I tell you guys that it was the Jewish community that opened its doors to that man to say that he will kill black people and they applaud him, you might not believe that. Yeah. But it was on the news, but nobody was paying attention. So I think it's time for us to stop thinking everything is a carnival and party, and see that what's happening in the United States, in Brazil, most probably in Uruguay and Argentina, it's real. Gay people have been killed just because they are gays, and this is real, and we need to start looking at this news and pay attention that it could happen to us too. Here in Europe, it can come to us too. Look at what's going on with the politics here.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think, sorry. Yeah, I think it is something that we probably, you know, are able to really relate to because of maybe what's happening in Germany nowadays. Like, it isn't as progressed as it is in Brazil. Like, you know, we don't have the AfD. Like, oh God, I don't really want to finish that sentence. But they're out there, and we're like, you know, and I just said the name, yeah, I just, you know, so, right, yeah. And, but there is a movement that we can maybe, we're seeing it, you know, it's happening kind of everywhere. And, you know, this is why I started like greeting everyone with good morning. Just doesn't matter which time of the day, because like I'm feeling like, you know,
It's time to wake up.
it's time to wake up, like, you know. And this is like, people were like thinking like, wait, well, it's 8 o'clock in the evening, why you say good morning? I'm like, just like that, good morning. You know, I mean, I don't know, but this is just me. It doesn't mean anything. It's like my humor maybe, but there was something on the news that you also posted to me, but it was on German news, and it was about Jean Willis.
Jean Willis, yeah.
Yeah.
This is something very interesting. Maybe you guys don't know. We had only one gay, sexually open deputy in our biggest Senate in Brazil, in the Chamber of Deputies. We call it Deputy Chamber. He was elected with 1 million something votes, and he was really opposed to this new president in Brazil, and he even the day they vote the impeachment in Brazil in 2016, the president, now president, spit on him while he was voting. It was caught on camera.
Yeah, there's footage of this.
Yeah.
That's footage of it, and he received that threat since 2016 because he's gay and openly gay. And then this new person there in the office in Brazil started to say that he wanted to make our kids gay. So he started to receive that threats every day, and then it was becoming too much. Like, and then somebody wrote, tell your mom, somebody wrote him an email, tell your mom that putting that video camera there won't help her because we're gonna hate her. Things like that happened, and this guy was talking to the OEA, to several instances of governance in order to help him out. And the president just took office, and the day he took office, Jean Willis, our only openly homosexual deputy in the Senate, he fled the country. And I was in Davos covering the news about the president, Jair Bolsonaro, who was in Davos, by the way. And the day the president saw that he fled the country, he wrote on his Twitter account, because he talks via tweet like Trump, and he wrote, "It's a great day. go back and never come. That's what, go away and never come back. That's what's happening in Brazil now. The biggest, one of the 50 most influential gay people in the world by The Economist magazine just fled the country, Brazil, because he was afraid of being killed. This is happening now. I know I don't want to put you guys here down with the conversation about it all, but guys, it's happening. It's happening. And the day that it started, the gay bashing, I called Uta. Is here. You remember that? I called Uta and I say, Uta, why nobody's talking about my friends have been harassed on the streets, and it already started the day. That started that day. People started to bash gay people that day. So that's really real.
Yeah. Yeah. I had the same feeling when the US president got elected, and I was also thinking, oh, then probably the next day it's bound to start, you know. And there was no reports of this, of course, and you were like far away, all these miles, you know, from America, from the US. But I had the same thought, you know, like I thought like, okay, so now it's open. It's like free hunting now. Like the season's opened, kind of thing, and it's something to
The free hunting is something like Marielle Franco. Have everyone heard about Marielle Franco? Have everyone heard that girl? She was in Rio de Janeiro. In Rio de Janeiro, one of the biggest leaders of gay LGBT community, and she was murdered last year. She got shot in her head 14 times with her driver, and she was elected to the cabinet, and the whole country went to the streets, and now we're discovering who was behind the whole thing, and it's really, really disgusting, because it's the militia, and the militia is related to some son of the son of someone who.
It's being recorded, I'm just saying.
Yeah, so very, very awful what's happening in Brazil now. So Marielle Franco, one of the mainly voices of LGBT community in the country, was shot in the head. So Jean Willis, the one who fled the country, he knew he would be the next. So for us here, it's very important to remember that everything that I told you guys about Brazil, the carnival, the fun facts about that, guys, they have been lying to you guys, and it's time to wake up and time to help. If you know anybody in the media, in the press media, please try to talk about Brazil. Try to help us. They're killing us on the streets, and they're really shooting us. Like 2 weeks ago, a guy was just coming in São Paulo Avenue, the main avenue of São Paulo, and the guy just stuck a knife on him. Said that you're queer, should go out of the country. It's happening again in Brazil, man. So it's time for us to wake up. So I just hope that you guys can relate to us as well. And when every Brazilian comes to and say that it's an amazing country, carnival, please start posing questions to them. Start posing questions to them, because those people, they voted for this guy who said gay people can't even donate blood because our blood is different. He said gay people have bad blood. That's what he said.
That's also the case in Germany
that's
still.
also a law here.
It happened here too. It happened here too.
Gay people still can't donate.
We could before and adopt kids and stuff like that, but they're just going back, and it's awful. Because let me ask you guys a question. Do you guys ever heard something good about Brazil? Like carnival party and things like that? Yeah, you see, it's that because everybody's like, what's going on in that country?
I heard there was sex in the streets.
Oh wait, we do. we did. But thanks to the evangelicals, we are not having parties like that anymore.
And what about the sex education kits? I mean...
Oh yes, you were telling us about this last week or so, these kits, the gay kits.
Yeah. The President Bolsonaro got elected because of a lie. He started to tell it's happened like this. He went to the Congress and he saw some transgender and some transsexuals walking in the parliament, and he said, what's going on here? When he was a deputy. And then they told him that they wanted to start a kit with dildos.
Sounds
Dildos.
Good. Sounds good.
Yeah.
DVDs and books to the kids in school. That was his biggest platform. And then he got elected because people were afraid, not just because of it, but because a lot of people got afraid that their kids would get that kind of material.
Dildos and how to be gay books.
Yeah.
And
My mom never gave back the kid. She keep her kid for herself. I'm never gonna get that. My kids won't get it. I'll use it.
I mean, like, who gives back a dildo anyway?
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, but that's true, guys. It's called Kitschy Gay. If you Google Kitsch Gay, K-I-T Gay, you will see a lot of things that this president now in Brazil has been lying people about, and he told everybody that it was true.
Yeah, you were telling me also that gay people were supposedly feeding their adopted children milk from bottles where the nipple is made of a little penis.
Yes, exactly like that. A lot of fake news.
It's funny, but like it's like people actually believed this. They actually believed it.
Oh, it's bad. Who dares to do
Yeah,
that?
some people believe in fake news, and fake news is really real, and we gays are really a target of fake news. And for us, it's very important to start putting things straight or gay, or putting things out there that we need to change this mentality that everything is a party. There is a fight to be.
Yeah, I mean, like I think peace is for most minority cultures, but especially for queer people, it's always a thin line, you know, and the pendulum swings so fast in opposite directions that like as soon as it feels like we have like, you know, a few years or like a decade to like breathe and explore ourselves and explore our creativity, then it's like, again, some asshole trying to tear us down or trying to really kill us. And
Yeah, but I don't want to be a downer here with this whole thing. I don't want to be a downer here with this whole thing. It's important for us that we are in 2018 and then we understand that we have tools, 19, of course. We are in 2019, give my pills. And we are able to talk about it now here, and we can discuss it and we can change this. And this is up to us. And to be quite honest, to the Europeans in the room, to the ones who were born here with the possibilities, guys, you have the amazing tool of the internet to help us all with that. In 2014, it was thanks to some people here in Europe that they heard what was going on in Rwanda, in Uganda, with those evangelicals who went there, who want to establish laws that will kill homosexuals again, that we did it, we changed this. So I think for us, it's very important to be aware, to be active, to talk about it,
to reach out.
And to reach out, yeah.
Also, one thought that I have before we open the Q&A, I have spent like a lot of time thinking like, oh God, this is so terrible. Like this is happening now, and we can't do anything because it's so big, and you know, like the single person is so small and feels like alone with it. Well, how do we do this? But also, I think that these things happen. I don't know about Brazil, like, because there is another history of what things were, also like, you know, the dictatorship that was before, and, but maybe also like a little bit in the US reference, that there is so much progression, so things progress as well, and I think to a certain extent, reading the comments on even like the Queer Academy that, you know, got an article inside in the press, and there was already like a bunch of comments underneath that, you know, like especially gay men was writing like, oh well, if that's no, I'm not going because this is la 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 la. So it's like things are happening and people are reacting to that. And I think the backlash is a reaction to actually something that is progressive, that is also happening on a bigger scale maybe, you know. So I don't want to say this is happening in Brazil because there may be like other factors. Maybe it's even not the main factor of what's happening in the US. There's a lot of factors, but I also think, you know, that there is hope as well.
There is hope, and we are part of it, and we're seeing that things like that are happening, but it's up to us to keep fighting and keep talking about it, and that's why I think it's very important for us not to forget what's going on in other parts of the world, because it could happen here too. Yeah. So if it's happening there right now, we could be the next here, and nobody is safe. So for me, it's very important to talk about it. I'm not talking here like, oh, please have mercy over us. No, it's not like this. Guys, let's talk about it. Let's be honest. There's something going on in the world, in Brazil, very bad, and we just need to address the issue.
And I'd like to say also, like, for people who feel like they can't do anything to help a situation, it's being yourself, if you're queer, being yourself and expressing yourself as fully as you can all day, every day is not the only thing you can do, but that sometimes that's really enough to show someone else like who you are, that you're here, you're confident, and you're an example for younger people to see that people like you exist like them. You know?
Yeah. I think it's time to open the Q&A, and everyone's eager. Okay, so let's go to you.
Okay, I'm Didine, and I just wanted to quickly say, you just mentioned that it's so important that we listen to that here in Germany, and there's a direct link why it is so important, because on the very day this horrible president was elected in Brazil, the Deutsche Bank had a tweet on Twitter to congratulate this president and say that the economy now is booming in Brazil and that they're very happy to invest now in Brazil. So that means if you have an account at Deutsche Bank, please change that. And it's also important to know that the FDP, the liberals here in Germany, they have an office in Brazil in I don't know exactly where, but they supported the party of that president for many, many years. So please don't ever vote for FDP. Thank you so much.
This message has been brought to you by Didine van de Plattenflotbroek. Get me another drink.
Thank you so much for your sharing. It's good to be always enlightened and find out new information that helps us to bring our awareness and our care to what people are going through in other parts of the world. My question, I have a question, and I also have a little care and share myself. When you go to Brazil, how will you start? Where will you find your foothold?
It's classified.
Okay, yeah.
I'm joking.
No. Well, thank you. What's your name again?
I'm Jesse.
Hey, Jesse, Junior here. So, I already have a website called listigay.lgbt. Since 2012, this website is online. And I also have a TV show in a public television. So the reason why I'm coming in is kind of a dangerous is because people kind of know me from social media. Last year I did a video about the military intervention in the country, and it was saw by more than 20 million people. So people kind of know me in a way in the country. So to be killed in the country will be something very funny in a way, because they're targeting.
I don't want you to be a martyr.
No, but I don't want to be killed. I'm not saying that I'm the famous one. I'm just saying that what happened is, in the last couple of years, I've been having the attention of the media to talk about this in a way, and I'm part of groups. That's why, what your question, where would I start? I already have I already started. So I'm already there. In talking about LGBT rights in the country, last year, November 20th, I was in a big discussion panel on the Brazilian television channel called Globo. I don't know if you guys know this. It's the biggest Brazilian television in the country. And I've been addressing these issues already. Some people believe that could be something in more politics that could be happening, but I don't know exactly yet. I just now have the TV show, and we will see from there on what happens.
Cool, thank you. I'm not going to take too much time, but I would just say this. In the world where the majority always wants to use queer people as the scapegoat, it is always our responsibility to remind them that the responsibility is shared for the problems that we face.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you.
Okay, any more questions? Okay, I think.
Hi, my name is Simon, and I'm very, very thankful that you're here and that you're talking. That you're not a downer, you are an upper. You give hope to us. You give hope to me that this evil that is around us, and there's a lot of evil, that we can fight that by standing together. My question is concerning the history of A, queerness, and B, of this evil. Brazil has a huge history of queerness. Talking about the Tropicalia movement that was opposed to the dictatorship. Talking about groups like, for example, Jigorokechi, that were, openly bisexual or ambiguous sexual, as I would like to call it. And also, my point of view, like what I got in the 80s and 90s, I haven't lived too long in the 80s though, from Brazil was this openly sexual vibe that there is a kind of liberty, sexual liberty, that is of course the carnival story you told, but my question is, where do you trace this evil? Where does that come from? Is that something like this US American, they took our jobs? Or is it that that conservativeness, or that now they had their time of liberty, now they're getting back to discipline? Where does this evil come from? Because I'm lost. I don't know where to spot it. I want to get to know it. I want to give it a name, and I want to track it down. Can you help me out?
Zeman, thank you very much for this question. What many people don't know about is from the 1960s onwards, Brazil was flooded with American missionaries from the South. And they started to create the evangelical neo-Pentecostal churches, mostly to go to the favelas and tell the black people they are belonging to a cursed race that needed to convert to Jesus Christ, amen, our Lord and Savior. And that man, Jesus Christ, will save the country from corruption. So, in the since 1990s, the evangelicals, they started what they call Bancada Evangélica, which is a group of evangelicals as deputies that will be evangelicals. They started with 15 in 500, and now they are 439. They started like that. And they started preaching in every favela, in every poor place in the country, and saying that we need to bring back the morale to the country. And even the evangelicals now, they are behind all this. Even the impeachment 2016, the evangelicals are all behind this. And it's not a secret. It can be on camera. There's no problem. Everybody knows about it. And when they started all these things, people were saying, the evangelicals, we need to hold on, because they want to bring back religion into the country. And just to finalize this thing about the evangelicals, we used to have the Minister of Culture in Brazil, because the culture is very diverse. The evangelicals, now they said, no, we won't have it. So we extinguished the Ministry of Culture, and we started a new ministry in the country called, I'm not kidding, Ministry of the Family and Morale. Evangelicals. And she's a pastor, the one who is the new minister.
Okay. Is there any more questions? Let's do a last one. AD is still in the room, so we can, still talk to him and personally.
So that might not be an easy one, I guess. It's more general. thank you first of all for your input and thank you for talking here. So the stories we heard and from all the presidents and the names we do not name here, they're fueled by fear and emotions are so strong. So what might be an answer from us to fight against those strong emotions of hate and fear, and how do we confront them? Well, because I think numbers and statistics are not the way, because even though they might be right and might not be fake news, emotions are so strong to fight, and that's something that I've been asking myself for a while, so maybe someone has a clue, I don't know.
Oh, okay. What's your name?
Oh, my name is Victoria.
Oh, Victoria, thank you very much for your question. What can we do? That's the question. What can we do from here onwards? Yeah, it's pretty much like what did some Germans did when we had a little issue going on here in the country in the 30s. Some people fled the country, some others talked, some others did not, but I can tell you what happened. It was that in the 30s, some journalists, a woman actually, she was trying to convince the Americans that the refuge, the concentration camps were truth, because people thought it was a myth. During a long time in the United States, it was a big debate, correct me if I'm wrong, if the concentration camp was right. So the first thing is here to be aware of the situation. This is my opinion, of course, it's not the absolute truth. That's what I would advise. To be aware that it's going on. The second thing is to get involved. How? I'm gonna look for the news in the country. There are like websites talking about it in English or in German as well. Germany was the only country in the world where every newspaper, even the right and the leftist newspapers, I'm saying the ones who are leaning towards AfD and blogs and whatever, that said that Jair Bolsonaro was a fascist. It was the only country that actually said that, because every international correspondent from Germany and Brazil, they smell a little bit of what happened in Germany years ago. So it was the only country that actually said that's fascist. So what the German public should do, in my opinion, this is my opinion, of course it's not the absolute truth here, is to be aware and start talking about it. Start talking about it. Start writing about it. You have a friend who's a journalist somewhere. You have a friend who has a program somewhere. Reach out to them. Talk to them. Say, ask questions. Pose questions. And when you're Brazilian, I'm sorry, I'm gonna discriminate here between blacks and whites. When your white Brazilian friend comes to you and tell you that everything is beautiful, you start posing questions to him. You start posing questions to him.
Which elevator do you use?
Yeah, so which elevator do you use? Who did you vote for? Because they are very good in deceiving that everything is cool. So for you Europeans not to accept what you hear from Brazilians is the first thing to be done, so that Brazilians will be ashamed. Because this guy was elected by people who said they are the people from morale and good behavior. Are you friends with the Brazilians of morale and good behavior? That's my question.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. AD Junior. Thanks everyone for the questions.